What's up, IGN? Joshua here with Eric to talk about second episode of Walking Dead Season 5, Strangers. Right off the bat, what was your reaction to this episode?
Full spoilers to follow.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't watched it,
watch out.
we're about to ruin it. I like this episode quite a bit. I think so far so good with this season. For a show that's had ups and downs. Sure, it slowed down quite a bit from the premiere, but you kind of knew they had to. I mean, that was a big action movie premiere.
The premiere had me so tense.
So this one was much slower, but I thought it was interesting. Some interesting character dynamics and figuring out what the group is now that they're all back together. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, you mentioned there's a new character, Gabriel, who's this priest they find, and he's very scared, claims to have not killed anyone or killed any zombies.
Right.
What do you make of Gabriel?
I mean, Gabriel's interesting because, we are seeing, again, how much has the group changed, and especially Rick. What does he do when they encounter people now, and how hard-edged is he? Because he's very untrusting now.
Yeah.
He really kind of has to be pushed by Carl even to give this guy a shot.
Yeah, he's the most pious, seemingly friendly, peaceful man ever, and he's still giving him a really hard time. He doesn't trust him.
Yeah, and I feel like, by the end of the episode, everyone kind of agrees, Carl too, that there's something he's keeping a secret. But I think that from what we see of this guy in this episode, unless he's the world's greatest con artist, he can't just be an awful killer, another awful, terrible person.
The Governor Part 2.
Yeah. I think it's going to be more that he is a guy who's probably especially the message on the back of the house about what is it, you'll burn in hell. I bet he didn't let people in to help them. He was so afraid. This is what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It's basically more guilt of something he didn't do than something he did do.
Sure,
right?
sure.
That's my guess. What do you think that might be something like that? Or?
Yeah. I don't feel like it's going to be the typical thing that we're expecting, but because people were trying to get in there, as Carl noticed those knife marks on the window, people were trying to get in. So I think he maybe just didn't let them in, didn't help people where he should have.
Right.
And I thought it was a great, almost visual metaphor for, I think, the Living Dead, The Walking Dead is hell on earth for him, and literally there was this pit of sewage and stuff that was like hell, and he had to go into this hell pit of monsters and stuff. So that was very interesting scene for them. And speaking of that, what did you think of that visual of these waterlogged zombies, and when you stabbed them with a knife, their heads explode in water, and ugh.
I really dug that. As a huge horror fan, I thought that was really cool, especially because look, we've had dozens of episodes of The Walking Dead now, so it's hard to kind of mix up the visual of, even though they have how their decayed is different.
Yeah.
This was actually kind of drastically different way to show zombies or walkers, whatever you want to call them. In fact, they kind of looked much more skeletal, especially the one that grabbed Bob. It's because so much of their flesh had fallen off. So it was almost like a different zombie movie, the interpretation of them visually, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, they're keeping it fresh for season 5.
Yeah,
I
fresh,
really like it.
But they're keeping it fresh by giving us rotting zombies.
Yes. And speaking of that scene with Bob, Bob is in an interesting place by the end of this episode. He got pulled underwater by a zombie, and so there's a theory that did he get bit? And later he was captured by those guys who from the comics we know as the Hunters.
Yeah.
And they're eating his leg, which is so crazy and disgusting.
Yes.
So what do you think that means? Was he bitten? What is he doing off in the woods in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought the whole episode, Walking Dead, first of all, usually can be pretty heavy-handed. So I thought, okay, yeah, Bob got bit. He's keeping it a secret. He knows he's dying. Because the whole episode was very look at how happy Bob and Sasha are.
It was too cute.
It was too cute. Something terrible is going to happen. And then after that, he was being kind of weird and yeah, you go hold the baby. And it was kind of sad. And so I was okay, that's what happened, but we've seen that before. So I actually have to compliment them for the swerve at the end, because I think that's what happened. I think he is bit, and he knew he's bit, and probably he's gonna die and turn, and was kind of maybe going off there to either kill himself or be gone. But then now he's been grabbed, and people are eating his leg, and so that's kind of a big a twist on his final fate.
Yeah. So I have two things that makes me think of.
Right.
One is they're eating the tainted meat, but everyone's already infected, so really it's not tainted. They should be fine, right? They won't die horribly or turn in the middle of the night because they ate his infected leg, right?
I have
assuming if he is infected.
Yeah, I mean, I have the same question, and yes, I know, look, we're not going to go into the comic book spoilers except to say that they're doing kind of their own version of something the comic book did with totally different character. But for me, watching this show, I have the same question. What is the science here? We're never going to get, I think, the full answer, because if they are all infected and basically everyone is already going to turn into a zombie when they die, does it matter if you eat, this guy who's now been bitten by a zombie? Will it facilitate things quicker? I don't know. And again, we're assuming he was bit, but I think it's a pretty safe assumption.
Okay, and let's go on to continue assuming he was bit. And let's say he got bit on that leg that got cut off. Do you think that would save him? Normally, you have to cut it off right away to save somebody, like what happened with.
But I didn't know if he got bit in the leg, because who knows? I'd have to rewatch this. I'd have to rewatch it, but I thought it was like maybe a stomach or something.
Okay.
But I don't.
But I was wondering if they cut off his leg, do you think the cannibals somehow saved his life?
That would be funny. Yeah. It's like, but it was a few hours later, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows what'll happen? We'll see. But one more thing from that scene, you pointed out what I didn't notice, but there's an extra character in the background.
Yeah, and so I actually, first kudos to Matt Fowler who reviewed the episode for us, but noted this. There's a guy in the background, because we really only focus on Gareth, but he's got some guys with him still, and there's a guy in the background who looks like the guy that Tyrese was tied up with almost the entire premiere.
Right, when he threatened to kill the baby,
right.
That guy.
And here's the thing, you could pretty much be underlined that was him because the actor was listed as a guest star for this episode.
Yes.
So that's got to be him.
Yeah.
And that opens a whole can of worms there.
Yeah, so if he does something bad, then suddenly it's on like Tyrese's hands, because he said that he like took care of it.
He said he took care of it, and now we should have known, because if you don't see a dead body, on a show like this, something's up. And so, I think it's going to be that thing of Tyrese let this guy live, and then Gareth found him, and then he was probably able to give him some information about the general direction they went or something. And so now there's going to probably be poor Tyrese, more guilt and angst for Tyrese, because this might be on him that they found the
thanks to Tyrese, the hunters are able to hunt them.
Exactly.
Well, that is what we think of The Strangers, Walking Dead. Second episode of season 5 is pretty cool, pretty interesting stuff, nasty zombies. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments. And for all things Walking Dead, keep it locked to IGN.